Vanarama National League highlight show. It's been an action-packed October and the excitement didn't let up this weekend. Over the next half an hour, we'll bring you the best of the action from football's fifth tier. Coming up, Dover move a point clear at the Summit. Barrow get back to winning ways. And an injury time strike seals victory for Maidstone. Macclesfield return to Moss Rose with their eyes on the top of the table after slipping to second with their first defeat in 6 against Dagenham and Redbridge on Tuesday night. But they welcomed an EASTLEIGH side with a good record at the Cheshire Ground, including 2 wins on their previous 2 visits. And the guests settled in nicely with some early pressure. Shawan Jalal with his fingertips to Ryan Creswell's efforts, the former skipper playing just his 3rd game after almost a year out. It was his pass that set Mark Yates off on his first warning to the Macclesfield defence. George Pilkington with a quick reaction. The hosts started to respond towards the latter stages of the first half. Scott Wilson rounding the EASTLEIGH keeper, but spared the opening goal by Redder Johnson. Moments later, it was Elliot Durrell who found himself with the opportunity to break the deadlock, Ross Flitney taking charge this time. Richard Hill's side went into the break with the advantage though, with a goal that may have left the Macclesfield keeper pretty red-faced. His mistake in what should have been a routine clearance allowed Yates to roll the ball into an empty net. 1-0 to EASTLEIGH. The former Tottenham midfielder clearly had an appetite for more and was on the score sheet again 5 minutes into the second half. He sprinted on as the Silkman appealed for a handball, teaming up with James Constable before shooting through the legs of Pilkington to make it 2-0. That's his first brace in 7 years. John Askey's side thought they'd halved the deficit through Wilson, but was ruled offside. But it was Whitehead who eventually found the back of the net with a superb strike to score his first since returning to the club in the summer. Only a consolation goal in the end for the home side as EASTLEIGH collected their 2nd away win of the season.
I thought we played well again. Obviously, a mistake cost us the first goal. Refereeing mistake cost us the 2nd goal. And we should have scored more than 1 goal today. We created a lot of chances, but I was pleased with how we played.
We were over the moon with it. I mean, to come to a place like Macclesfield at any time of the season, even harder because of their form at the moment. They're going very well, and rightly so. They're a good side, and we've come up off the back of a poor result in midweek. And I thought we've, in terms of the effort, desire, all that goes with the game of football, we had all of that.
Wrexham's 11-match unbeaten run ended on Tuesday with a 2-0 loss at Fylde. Leyton Orient were at the racecourse ground going for a first victory in 10, also losing 2-0 in midweek to Gateshead. Only 44 seconds in, a Paul Rutherford cross was deflected into the path of Chris Holroyd, 1-0, and the quickest goal of the weekend in England's 5th tier. Despite the O's woes this season, top scorer Macaulay Bonne was after his 8th of the campaign. Only he'll know if he intended to beat Chris Dunn or if the equaliser was a cross. Either way, it's Bonne's first goal in 10. Into the second half, Orient were dominating and almost took the lead through James Dayton. His powerful efforts came crashing off the bar. With 20 minutes to go, a familiar combination edged Wrexham back in front. Rutherford the provider, Holroyd once again getting the better of Charlie Granger. 2-1, Holroyd moves on to 4 for the season. Dean Keats went for a defensive approach in the last few minutes to protect the home team's lead, but from a corner, it didn't stop Orient finding space. The unmarked Mark Ellis on target to salvage a point. But even though they miss out on victory, Wrexham are now unbeaten in 8 at home in the National League.
2 mistakes and we've conceded 2 goals. First goal, it's a mistake. Second one in the 85th minute, corner against your little bits of detail. You're accountable for it, that's your man. You don't score. One of our players has lost his man.
To Gateshead, where new manager Steve Watson finally had his homecoming more than 2 weeks after his appointment. He watched his side condemn Leyton Orient to a 2-0 defeat at Brisbane Road on Tuesday. Now he was facing new league leaders Dover. The hosts in white made the most of difficult conditions in the northeast. Patrick McLaughlin just inches wide from scoring his first goal of the campaign. Dover had only lost 1 game on the road this season, but were being tested by a revived Gateshead. Luke Hannant was only denied by the woodwork before and Mitch Walker managed to collect Louis Fazakerly's rescue attempt. Hanan continued to cause problems for the visitors, responding to calls to shoot from outside the box after beating Giancarlo Galifuoco, his effort this time going wide. It turned out to be a frustrating afternoon for the 23-year-old, whose effort after the break connected with the crossbar once again. Dover stayed top, whilst Watson waits for his first home win.
It was tough today because the ball wasn't on the floor that much, but ideally I'd have wanted to win my first game, but coming against the league leaders, knowing what they were trying to do, keeping a clean sheet, there's positives.
Tranmere and FC Halifax had met one another only a couple of weeks ago, with Mickey Mellon's men winning 3-1 away to make the first round of the FA Cup. As Tranmere went for a first league victory in 4 matches, it took only 5 minutes for James Norwood to make it 1-0 at Prenton Park. Less than 10 minutes later, another attack for last season's beaten playoff finalists. Failure for Jeff Hughes with the first effort turned into more success for Norwood, now on 5 for the campaign for Rovers. Into the second half, Halifax, who are looking at a 6th match in the National League without a win, pulled a goal back via the head of Matty Brown. He's now on 3 for the campaign after failing to score in 29 in the league last season. Tranmere had handed a debut to new signing Larnell Cole, a former Manchester United junior who'd been without a club since leaving Fulham in the summer. The Cole that didn't make it at Old Trafford made it 3-1. Another pacey, tricky winger then added to the pressure on Halifax, who came up via the National League North playoffs. Dylan Motley-Henry is on loan at Tranmere from Barnsley. After Motley-Henry's maiden senior goal and Cole's debut contribution, there was a first for one of Halifax players. On his debut, Dan Batty beat Scott Davis. 4-2 is how it finished, though, as Rovers score 4 for the first time in a match this season.
After knocking Wrexham out of the FA Cup, Fylde then ended the Welsh side's 11-match unbeaten run with a 2-0 win on Tuesday night. Goals from Johnny Smith and Jack Muldoon left Fylde 5 points clear of the relegation zone. Saturday saw the Coasters travel to the West Midlands to meet bottom-of-the-table Solihull for the first time in 2 years. The league strugglers won their first game under Richard Money in midweek, and they were now intent on improving their home record. But things didn't go according to plan. After holding out for almost the entire first half, they conceded 2 in 2 minutes. Johnny Smith was the first on the score sheet. That's 2 goals in 2 games for the winger on loan from Bristol City. And seconds later, it was Danny Rowe being credited for a 7th goal of the season. His free kick leaving the hosts shell-shocked going into the break. And they didn't recover. Fylde going on the counter-attack for a 3rd. Rowe with the pass to skipper Sam Finlay, who scored his 2nd of the season. Jack Muldoon finished the rout just minutes before the full-time whistle, smashing the ball into the roof of the net to become the 4th different scorer and serving Solihull their heaviest home defeat since 2011.
They are the best team in the league and the worst team for us to play today. Our front 3 weren't allowed to do anything. Tuesday night we dropped in their little pockets, we turned and run. Every time today, their defender tight up the backside. Couldn't do anything. The 3rd goal, magnificent. I'd be doing cartwheels if I was on their touchline. That's a proper team.
Chester halted a run of 4 games without a win in midweek with a late victory over fellow strugglers Barrow. With the clash almost over, Lucas Dawson fired home in added time to earn a precious 3 points for Chester, who climbed out of the bottom 4. Next up for Bignot's side, an away test at Maidstone, who beat Halifax on Tuesday. 2 matches between these two last season produced 10 goals. Maidstone came closest to breaking the deadlock in the first half, a deflected strike from Stuart Lewis hitting the post. Jay Saunders' men did then make contact with the Chester goal net, but as Avon Hines' cross could only find the side netting courtesy of Josh Hare. As the home team's pressure continued, Joe Piggott then missed a glorious chance despite getting past John McCoom and finding himself through on goal at the Gallagher Stadium. After their late show against Barrow, Chester did eventually get a taste of their own medicine as on-loan QPR defender Alex Finney smashed home a Maidstone winner. Persistence paid off in the 95th minute as Maidstone climbed to 5th. Chester dropped back into the bottom 4.
Welcome back to the Vanarama National League highlight show. Newcomers Maidenhead United have adapted well to their first ever campaign at this level, thanks in no small part to the experience of manager Alan Devonshire. Jeff Brazier went to catch up with the former forklift truck driver who became a West Ham legend.
You know, he's watching Matchday with Trevor Brooklyn and Billy Bonds, and suddenly I'm training with them, you know. It was pinch me please, you know. So 3 weeks after being training, I played a few games for the reserves and I was in the first team. So and then it kind of snowballed from there. So it was a fantastic time, and I wouldn't change it for the world. We had a really good side. We didn't go up that year, but we got to the cup final against Arsenal. So and being I come from Park Royal, I was born there and all that, playing at Wembley, and that has always been a dream. FA Cup final, and it's just fantastic, and beating the Arsenal as well. So it's got great days.
So how many years had it been from you being a forklift driver, playing at Southall in a non-league, to actually holding a FA Cup trophy?
Yeah, 3.5 years. 3.5 years. That's changed my life, really. So, but being a footballer, Jeff, is the best job in the world, and it's still the best job in the world.
When did you know that you were destined to go into management?
I kind of finished my football career, and I wanted a break from it, and I had 4 years complete break. And you don't realise then that when you're out of the game, you've forgotten, and it was hard to kind of get back in. And then Martin Busby phoned me up and asked me to, he's got the job here, and he said, do you want to be joint managers? And I said, well, yeah, I did, and I came here, and that was my first job 4 years later, and then it was, you had the bug again.
Let's talk about the fact that you're new to the National League. You've never been here before as a club, and actually you look like you're one of the teams that could absolutely push for the playoffs at the very least. What do you put that success down to?
I don't know, it's just the togetherness of the group. I've built a good group, so I'm quite happy if we finish where we are. I'll take that tomorrow. It's a lovely club. That's the reason I come back. It's a lovely club. We've got to the National League now, and I want to build the club as far as I can take it, you know. That's what the chairman wants to do as well. So we're kind of like in cohesion with that. So it's down to both of us, I like to think, and the players will do.
A new one for the record books as Maidenhead United and Dagenham and Redbridge met for the very first time. But would it be a game that would go down in history? Just a point separated them going into the clash at York Road. The Magpies were unbeaten in 3 games and went ahead here 6 minutes from the break. Remy Clarima headed in Sam Barrett's long throw to score their 28th goal of the season, matching the visitors' tally. A goal from Morgan Ferrier on Tuesday night had knocked Macclesfield off top spot and seen John Still's side bounce back from 2 defeats. This time he teed up Michael Cheek to fire into an empty net when keeper Carl Pentney was caught in no man's land. And after coming from behind, the visitors came closest to the win. Substitute Fajiri Okenbiri with the cross-come shot. Mason Bloomfield agonisingly close to snatching the 3 points in the final minute. Maidenhead are now unbeaten in their last 5 home games.
Woking's promotion challenge had been hit by 2 defeats in 4 days, including a 3-1 loss away to Dover. Guiseley were next, a side Anthony Limbrick's club had never beaten in the National League. Within the first quarter of an hour, the hosts got off to a sensational start. On his first career league start, Declan Apau let rip from the edge of the area, a fine way to let the world know your name. The next goal just past the half-hour mark, less spectacular. A long throw was eventually squeezed in past Nathan Baxter by Guiseley's on-loan Stevenage forward Rowan Leebird. As Woking tried to regain the advantage, a moment of controversy. Jamie Philpott chased a delivery over the top, but the ball was blocked by the hand of Guiseley keeper Johnny Maxted outside his area. A yellow card, not red, was shown by referee Gary Parsons, prompting a little debate, shall we say, on the touchline. Moments after the restart, with the visitors 11 men strong, Leebird was involved in more goalmouth action. He produced for a second time to put Guiseley in front. For him, it's now 3-3 in the National League. Past the hour mark, effective build-up play from Limbrick's men led to the away team's box as both sides waited to see if a penalty would be awarded. Regan Charles Cook went for goal, beating Matchday to make it level once more at the LEYTON Community Stadium. As Paul Cox aimed to deliver Guiseley's first away victory of the season, Leebird was replaced by Mike Fondop-Tallam, and the change was inspired as his second of the campaign delivered victory. Guiseley have lost only 2 of their last 10. Frustrated Woking have now lost their last 3.
To score 2 goals at home but then concede 3, and in the manner of the goals that we conceded, I felt like we almost gave the opposition the win as opposed to them coming here and really having to work. And our feelings from the bench was that he did handball it and stop the goal scoring opportunity, because Jamie would have got the other side and I'd need to check if there are other players back in there, but yeah, it looked quite controversial. I thought the referee, probably for both sides, I didn't think had a great game today, and wasn't great in the major decisions in the game.
Barrow appointed former Forest Green and Gillingham boss Adi Pennock this week to replace Mickey Moore. Pennock is Barrow's 3rd manager of the season and inherits a side 22nd in the National League with just 2 wins from 17 games. One of the first calls from the new boss was to make Holker Street a fortress again. The Bluebirds were after their first win in 10 games. The team to test them were promotion hopefuls Aldershot, who'd had 1 victory in their last 6. Barrow responded with a goal 5 minutes into the game. Some neat build-up finished with Byron Harrison playing in Adi Youssef, who calmly slotted in his 3rd of the season. If the first one was delightful, the second was direct. But you won't find the Barrow fans complaining as they watched keeper Stuart Moore launch the ball straight to Youssef, who grabbed his 2nd goal of the game 5 minutes before half-time. The shots came out firing in the second half and managed to claw one back moments after the restart. A brilliant cross from Adam McDonnell. Striker Scott Rendell was claiming a touch, but it was McDonnell who was credited with his 3rd of the campaign. Yet it was Barrow who had the final say, with 25-year-old Youssef to thank. The striker racing through after an Aldershot corner was eventually cleared. The former Leicester City youth capping off the game with the match ball, almost a year to the day since Barrow's last hat-trick. Pennock's reign in Cumbria is off to a winning start.
We're not in a great position, and there's no point saying anything else. We've got to work hard. It should be a given at any club that I'm involved in anyway. It's great for everybody connected with the football club, and that's from top to bottom. But more importantly, pleased for everybody, the fans especially, and great reception I had when I walked out. And a nice reception when I walk back in.
Hosting Bromley, Boreham Wood were aiming to make it 6 games unbeaten. On 25 minutes, the visitors failed to clear a free kick, allowing Dan Holman to capitalise from close range. It's a first goal for Wood for their Cheltenham loanee. Holman's strike was the start of a belting quarter-of-an-hour spell in Hertfordshire. The visitors drew level through Josh Rees, now on 3 in his last 3 for Bromley. Neil Smith's men then turned the game around, and it was done in some style. Luke Wanadio got the better of one of 2 Smiths in the Boreham Wood starting 11. Grant Smith couldn't do anything about Wanadio, making it 4 for the campaign in England's 5th tier. Only a couple of minutes later, it was Wood's turn to equalise. After Bromley failed to clear, Jamie Turley beat David Gregory 2-2. Boreham Wood make it then to 6 games without a loss, their best run at this level in the same season.
We're not rubbish anymore. That was the statement from Gary Owers this week after watching his Torquay side collect their first away win of the season on Tuesday. Now unbeaten in 2, they welcome Hartlepool to play more, who were hoping to make the 730-mile round trip worth it. But they had to be patient, with the best chance of the first half falling to the hosts, Rory Keating misdirecting his header horribly wide. Into the second half, and Rhys Oates was able to show Keating how it's done. His header powering past Vincent Durrell to put Craig Harrison's side ahead. Hartlepool were unbeaten in their last 9 meetings with the Gulls, and Jonathan Franks made sure of another positive result. The club's top scorer trying his luck from long range and recording his 6th of the season. 6 unbeaten now for Hartlepool, who are now just a point outside the playoffs.
Sutton United hosted EBBSFLEET United after drawing 2-2 away to Aldershot in midweek. Fleet, meanwhile, were defeated at home to Torquay. In the opening 45, slack Sutton defending allowed an opportunity for the visitors' Luke Coulson, an opportunity he failed to take as Jamie Butler ensured it was goalless at the break. 0-0's how it finished, with the best chance of the match squandered in the second half by one of the hosts' defenders, Louis John, from 6 yards out, well over, as Sutton end the weekend 3 points away from the top of England's 5th tier.
There were 154 goals scored in October. Here's our top 5. Profited as none of the top 5 managed to win. They have a 1-point lead after sharing a goalless draw with Gateshead. Maidstone United are now 5th after a last-gasp win against struggling Chester FC. In the bottom half of the table, a 3-2 victory for Guiseley lifted the Lions out of the drop zone. It was a dream start for AD Pennock's Barrow, who celebrated victory over Aldershot. But Solihull Moors couldn't follow up on their midweek win at EASTLEIGH. They stayed bottom after a 4-0 thumping by Fylde.
There was a top-of-the-table clash this weekend in National League South. Dartford at the top, hosting 4th place St Albans City. It took only 6 minutes for the home team to go a goal up. A long throw-in powerfully headed into the City net by Dartford's captain Elliot Bradbrook. Next, an equaliser straight from the training ground with 5 minutes to go until the break. A corner went in via Charlie Walker, a fine top-of-the-net finish in Kent. On the hour mark, the South leaders move further away from one of their promotion rivals. A Lyle Delaverde cross was turned into his own net by Tom Bender, 2-1. Victory then for Dartford.
Dartford hold a 2-point lead at the top of the table then, following a nervy 2-1 win over 5th-placed St Albans City. Hemel Hempstead Town have climbed to 2nd spot after a 1-0 win against East Thurrock United. Harrogate Town lead the National League North table by 2 points after they won 2-1 at Alfreton Town. However, all the headlines this weekend will once again be on 2nd-placed Salford City, not for their 2-1 win at Bradford, but for goalkeeper Max Crocombe being sent off for urinating. There's still plenty of Vanarama National League action still to come on BT Sport. There's a cross-border clash between Chester and Wrexham on the 8th of November from 7:15 on BT Sport 1 and in 4K UHD. And on Saturday the 11th, the cameras head to Stonebridge Road where EBBSFLEET face LEYTON ORIENT in the evening kickoff. That's it for another week of Vanarama National League action. We'll leave you with Adi Yusuf's hat-trick as Barrow gave AD Pennock a perfect start as new manager. We'll see you again soon.